Hey guys, it's Trill again, and today I decided to make a different type of video. In my room tour video, a lot of you noticed my genuine pin Series 1 frame on my wall, and ever since I've had many people ask me why I got this and how I made it. And since the new pin Series 2 came out recently and I still hadn't put them in a frame, I figured this might also be a cool opportunity to try out my new camera as well. So I'm pretty sure that I'm one of only a few persons that have this full collection of pins physically at home, but since you can now buy these from the Valve store as well, some of you might be inspired to make something similar to this as well. So let me show you what I used to make this frame. So first of all, I got this very cheap pinboard that we'll use to push the CSGO pins into later. I got the frame itself from IKEA for 10 bucks or so, and this one with 23 by 23 centimeters has the perfect size for the full set of 11 pins. Next up, I ordered a bit of black cotton fabric that we'll use to tighten around the pinboard in the frame to make it look nice and sleek. To make all of this work, I also got the super glue, a pair of scissors, a pencil, a black marker and a set square. So all in all, I managed to get all this for just under 20 bucks in total. Now let's move on with the first step. First of all, I unwrapped the frame and took it apart. For this particular frame, there's this inner piece right here where our piece of pinboard is gonna have to fit into. So now that I have all the other stuff out of the way, I can put this inner piece on top of my pinboard, and using my black marker, I can outline the inner corners of this inner frame piece. After that, I used a knife to roughly cut out the actual pinboard to make it easier for me to cut out the square with a pair of scissors. If you want to try this yourself, be sure to go very slow and steady, as these cheap pinboards are pretty brittle and tend to break if you're not careful. I can also really recommend using an actual handicraft pair of scissors, because these kitchen supply scissors I used did not really cut that well at all. Eventually, these got the job done just fine though, and the piece of pinboard managed to fit into the inner frame piece perfectly. Now that I had this sorted out, it was time to make this look a lot nicer by getting the fabric ready to be wrapped around the pinboard. I laid out the piece of fabric in front of me, tightened it to make sure that there are no crinkles, and then used the actual frame itself as a guide for the piece of fabric I wanted to cut out. For this step I used my pencil, as it does the job just fine for drawing the outline of the frame. Once I got that done, I went ahead and very carefully cut out the square I just drew on the fabric. Then I put the piece of pinboard on top of the fabric and placed a line of glue just around all the edges of the pinboard. This type of glue dries very quickly, so you want to make sure that you don't waste too much time folding in all the corners of the fabric. Be sure to also tighten the fabric as much as you can. I also used these standard pins that came with the pinboard itself to help the fabric stay in place. Now I wanted to make sure that the glue has enough time to dry, so I decided to get a sheet of paper and, just like I did with the pinboard before, get the size of the inner frame piece transferred on the piece of paper. After that, I divided the piece of paper into 16 equal squares that would help me with the pin placement later on. Once the glue dried and I was sure that the fabric wouldn't come off again, I put the piece of paper on top of the fabric and decided my final order for the pins. Thanks to my paper guide I made earlier, I could make sure that the pins are neatly organized, and once I was happy with what I've done, I could simply remove the paper and put the pins back into the tiny holes they left in the fabric. After that, it was just a matter of putting the inner frame piece around the pinboard again and carefully putting the frame back together. This whole thing took me roughly around 30 minutes to make for each of my two frames, and I'm very happy how it turned out. I'm usually someone who hates handicraft work, and I'm not very good at working with small and fiddly objects, but even for someone like me this was definitely doable, and I didn't stress out too much making this. And here's the finished product. Once again, this is something I've never really done before, so I hope this was still enjoyable to watch for you guys, and I hope this is a worthy way to display these awesome collectible CSGO items. These will definitely find a nice place on my wall. Thank you guys for watching once again, and I will see you in my next video.